Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us for a series of virtual events that promote Romanian cuisine, Romanian culture, thanks to Irina Georgescu's book, Carpathia. Today we have the honor to have Irina Georgescu herself from the UK, and also executive chef Daisley Gordon from Café Campagne in downtown Seattle, who will do a demo two of Irina's recipes from the book. I am Otilia Baraboi. I'm the executive director of American Romanian Cultural Society. We formed this organization to promote Romanian and Eastern European cultures in the Pacific Northwest and the US at large in 2013. Our signature event is the Romanian Film Festival that is coming up in November 13th through 22nd. It's going to be a virtual edition, so please follow us on our social media and emails, and do come to the festival. We have a fabulous selection in partnership with Northwest Film Forum. I will start by introducing Irina Georgescu. Irina was born in Bucharest in Romania. She is a food writer and author of Carpathia. She has a fabulous website. You can check it out at irinageorgescu.com. And she combines in this book recipes, but also stories of the people who inspired the recipes, the whole practice of homemade foods that we probably all had to learn during the pandemic, or relearn, and remember from our childhood. She explains very well in one of the chapters that I love that her family growing up in communism learned how to change the scarcity of resources into culinary art. And I found that enlightening, because this is the same phenomenon happened with Romanian cinema. It is well known in the world for its minimalistic take on, things. And again, we learned, we survived through difficult times, and we learned how to make the most of it and how to turn this scarcity of resources into high art, I would say, in Romanian cuisine that's influenced by many cultures, and Irina will talk about it, but also in our film and literature as well, and arts in general. And Daisley Gordon, thank you again for accepting to do a demo of ostropel de pui and dovlecei umpluți, supă de dovlecei umpluți, that are featured, in this and Irina's book. I'm going to say a few words about Daisley. First of all, I have to say I love your restaurant.
Thank you.
And I think everybody who lives in this area should go there. And Irina, if you come to Seattle, I will take you there. And it's fabulous food, fabulous atmosphere, and it's the best location in downtown Seattle, right there in the heart of Seattle. We're talking about the heart of Romania with this book, but I think Daisley's restaurant is right there in the heart of Seattle, right near in Pike Place Market. So I'm going to say a few interesting things about Daisley. He's a career changer in the culinary field. He immigrated to the US with his family from Jamaica in the 70s. And he has a degree in religion studies and speech communications from Western Kentucky University. Okay. His culinary training is comprehensive, so I'm just going to say a few things. His associate in occupational science degree from the Culinary Institute of America, Hyde Park, New York, that was awarded in 1994. He's done an internship with Dutch-born culinary mentor and certified master chef Victor Ghiese at Actuel in Dallas. He's done many culinary research tours throughout the US, the UK, France, Belgium, and Italy. He is featured in national and local media for years. And if you look him up, you'll see that since the pandemic started, he's been very present in the local media, in Seattle Met Magazine, Forbes, Seattle Times, just to quote a few of the titles. You also might recognize him from appearances in Iron America Chef, and also in 2011, he featured in Judge of Top Chef Seattle. Yeah, I have a page full of accomplishments. He also gives cooking classes to kids. It's really amazing, and we're happy that we met, right? So the Romanian culinary tradition with the French culinary tradition, but also with Daisley's fabulous, amazing multicultural background. Irina, if you wanna, I'm gonna let you say a few things about the dishes that Daisley picked, and then we'll let Daisley do the demo and talk about his interpretation, his personal touch of these two dishes.
Yes, of course. Well, thank you so much for organizing this, and everyone, thank you so much for joining us. Sorry it's so dark in my room here. It's 1:30 in the morning for me in the UK, which is it's quite nice actually. I just want to say very briefly, because we talked about Romania's cuisine being very diverse, and I just want to say that, to give you a very kind of brief idea of what that means and what I mean by it, is that Romanian cuisine was shaped by its landscape, its geography, and also by its history, and also by the Carpathian Mountains. And this is why the book is called Carpathia, because the Carpathian Mountains were like a border between the Austro-Hungarian Empire and the Ottoman Empire. We were ruled for centuries in the south and the east of the country by the Ottoman Empire. And hence, if you have the book, you will see some sort of, Middle Eastern dishes. And also at the same time, we were ruled by the Austro-Hungarian Empire in Transylvania. And we are also surrounded by a Slavic world. And as I was saying before, and we have Slavic influences. And the borscht you will see in the book, that is a fermented ingredient that it's quite Slavic. And with all these influences, you will see the way we eat as well. We like the meze dishes at the beginning of the meal, and then the second course is usually a broth, and it's a ciorba or a borscht, and the third meal is a main course, and then we start. We have desserts and we have Turkish coffee at the end, and so. The dishes that you chose to make, the first one, ciorba de dovlecei umplut, and I have it here in the book. It's basically iconic for how we eat, in the summer and in the autumn. We love stuffed vegetables and fruit. There is a recipe in the book with stuffed apples. But this is how we do with courgettes, this is how we do with peppers, aubergines, all the vegetables. We have a dish for all the vegetables that is like stuffed, whether with rice or meat with rice or rice with sultanas, Our national dish is, stuffed sauerkraut leaves. So we kind of have this Middle Eastern habit to stuff, vegetables and leaves and basically everything that's in the garden. And this is a very dear dish to me, because we used to make it at home, with my mum. And it's basically a broth and stuffed courgettes, and you eat them together with sour cream. And I put some mint leaves, so it's very, it's quite light, despite the fact that it has meat in there. But you have the courgettes, and it's a very nice way to eat courgettes. And usually courgettes, if you are a gardener and you have courgettes in your garden, you will be overwhelmed by the harvest, because they will keep appearing in your garden all the time. So this is a very nice dish to make using courgettes. And the other dish that you are making is ostropel de Oltenia. Ostropel, again, is such an iconic dish for Romanians and for Romanian cuisine. I associate it with summer dishes when the tomatoes are, in full flavor, because it's actually a tomato sauce. And something that is interesting with this dish is that you use garlic twice. So you use garlic at the beginning of the dish, and then you use garlic right at the end, raw, very thinly sliced. And by doing this, you know, you change a bit the flavor of the garlic is not that strong when you slice it very thinly, but also because it's so thin, it gets to be a bit cooked by the sauce. So you don't actually eat raw garlic with it, but there is nothing wrong with eating raw garlic anyway. So this is again iconic for us because we eat garlic with almost everything, apart from desserts, luckily. But with everything else, we just add garlic, and it's in a way it's a national ingredient. And something else that I put in this dish are polenta dumplings. And again, we eat polenta in Romania probably more than Italians in Italy, or you know, I don't know. I'm sure you eat polenta in France, and in French cuisine there are polenta dishes. But in Romanian cuisine, we eat polenta for breakfast, like more like a porridge. We can eat polenta as a starter, stuffed with cheese, for instance. We eat polenta as a side dish, served with sour cream, and we eat polenta as a dessert. So we have loads of ways of you know, eating polenta and using cornmeal. And I wanted the sauce tropel to be served with polenta dumplings because they are my favorite dumplings. So I'm looking forward to seeing your take on these two Romanian dishes. What do you think about them?
The dumplings?
Both
Well,
dishes.
I mean, I was very excited. Well, I'll tell you actually what happened. So when the idea first came about to do something from the book and to do a demonstration and do it on, you know, on video, my sort of chef restaurant cooking class brain part turned on. So I got the book and I'm flipping and I'm imagining, because right now I'm just in our abandoned dining room, you know, there's our to-go boxes and stuff. So I'm trying to figure out what's going to work. So I'm not happy. I can't sort of land on the right thing because I'm strictly thinking about the execution. So I see the chicken thighs. I love chicken thighs, and I think, well, it's kind of a braise. It's like a fricassee, you know. It's
Yes.
You sear it, you flavor it, you put some liquid, you get a little crust from the searing, and then you get a little tenderness and infusion of flavor. I'm like, okay, I can do that, and it's on top of the stove. And then the zucchini, in a similar way, it's on top of the stove. So I had kind of settled on those things, which sort of calmed down my teacher brain, because then I could think about how I could execute it. And then a couple days later, I looked at the book and I had the brain of somebody who's just at home in his own kitchen cooking these dishes, and I wanted to cook everything in the book. I sort of, once I figured out what to do for the class, then it was like a second romance with the rest of the book. And everything sort of really came alive because I wasn't so much focusing on, can I execute this at a Zoom video, but do I want to make it at home? And so there's so much stuff that crosses over between certainly the shared ingredients, the European and the Mediterranean ingredients, as well as just the robust country, you know, peasant cooking, whether it's the cooking of my home in Jamaica or the country, you know, Campagne is countryside, right? So it's that's the cuisine. That's really what informs what you would say Romanian cuisine or haute cuisine. It's just all the robust flavors from the country, and then they clean it up to make it presentable, to make it easy to eat. You take out the bone, you take off the skin, you pass it through a tammy so it's smooth and you don't dribble anything on your nice, you know, cravat or whatever, right? So the source is the same. So once the logistics got out of the way, then it was sort of a great romance. And the book is beautiful. The gilding is extraordinary. I love that.
Thank you. Yes.
Just to start. And then the pictures are fantastic. And I just was, even after I started flipping through, it was like, I felt like I hadn't even seen half of the dishes, you know, because I was just looking at the execution, and then I thought, oh geez, I want to do this, you know, all of the cabbage, all of the tomato, all that stuff. So I genuinely enjoyed it and appreciate having the book. But I should get started because otherwise we'll be here till next week.
Yes, I know.
We've organized this to do the chicken thighs first. And since you've introduced the name of the dishes correctly, I'm just going to leave that and refer to them in something that's more manageable. And I, you know, the other thing is that you won't hear me speaking much French outside of kitchen items because, and I have to blame my wife because she's proficient. So usually when we travel, I tag along, she does the talking and I do the eating. And so I can certainly manage my way in a restaurant and I understand what's going on, but you know, it's a tag team thing. So if she was here at the video, she would translate it in French. So that's the extent of my French is what's on the plate and what ends up on your fork and spoon. So we're going to start right away with the chicken thighs. I think that it's fine if people want to ask questions. We're going to spend about 15 minutes on this dish and then 15 minutes on the other. And we've, you know, I, of course, executed them before, so I think I have a feel of it. So I'm happy to take questions, or you can tell me how far off I am. As well, sort of coupled with this experience, we did some very, very Café Campagne versions. We took great liberty in our versions that we thought would be sort of easy to get out for people to take and reheat at home. So there may be some folks who are watching along who are having our version of the chicken thighs as well as the zucchini. So once we finish each item, we'll look at both of them together and we can chat about it. So I think it's interesting that the chicken thigh dish is actually, the ostropal is pretty straightforward. We have the thighs. I'm just using 6. I think the recipe calls for 8. One important thing here is that I have them on a little toweling, and I had some toweling on top because one of the key things that you know in a professional kitchen is that moisture is the enemy of caramelization. So the thing that saves you a lot of trouble is just making sure they're nice and dry. Pull them out of the cooler, you know, 20 minutes before. I know people get worried about chicken and stuff, but it's okay for it to sit at room temp. Dab it off with a little paper toweling. We're gonna put a little salt and pepper on there. And then we're gonna get those seared. So we've got a little bit, I think you call for just vegetable oil. We tend to always use a little bit of olive oil blend. This is olive oil and canola, but of course, safflower, grapeseed, it's all fine. So we have a little pepper, and then a little bit of salt. And I'll season the other side once it gets in. Just gonna check to see if it's hot yet. Of course, it's gonna take its own time.
So in Romania, we use sunflower oil. That's very popular.
So if anyone has questions, that's right, Irina. Sunflower oil is our olive oil, right? Yeah.
Absolutely, because we have sunflower, fields, fields full of them, and we also like to eat the seeds.
Yeah.
Roasted sunflower seeds. So I think I say in the book, it's like a national sport. We eat those, or pumpkin seeds, so, so that.
I think that the oil is nice and hot, so we're gonna, I don't think you can see inside the pan, but we're gonna brown that. It looks like right now we're just fitting about 4 of them because we have some pretty big thighs. Another time on the Stairmaster. Okay, sorry. They let us out of the kitchen and then everything goes crazy. So while we're browning the chicken, there really are 3 other critical components: the garlic that gets smashed, the passata, and a little bit of chicken stock. I found this sort of interesting because I guess it's sort of like tomato puree, but it's a little bit more concentrated. I was surprised. I was able to find 2 different kinds at Whole Foods, and one of them already had garlic and basil in it. I don't know if that's a traditional thing, but I certainly enjoyed cooking with it. Oh, hello. There we go. You should take that into the kitchen. So the funny thing is that I have this new induction burner, and I turned it on. It wasn't coming on for some reason, but I forget that you have to have a pan on it, right? So, and it says add on it, but whatever. So it's not coming on. I'm wondering why. And then all of a sudden, my helper who's off the screen is waving. It's because the pan and the napkin is caught on fire. So now it's working. Okay, fantastic. So this guy's working just fine. There we go. And then we'll get the garlic ready. So I love this dish because I love garlic so much. So you can hear a little bit of that sizzle. We're getting some nice color on the thighs.
That sounds really, really nice.
Yeah,
The
and
sizzle.
so the best thing is just to be patient, give time, and let it caramelize a little bit. It renders some of the fat, and then it develops a little flavor. We're going to move it along just so we can get through the recipe. So we've got those thighs. They're on the opposite side. I'm going to put, I think we have enough salt and pepper. We have the garlic that's been smashed that goes in. Okay. Then we have our lovely strained tomatoes. And then a little bit of chicken stock. It's the perfect combination because the chicken stock sort of thins it out a little bit so the tomato paste doesn't burn and gives it enough time to come up and simmer. So we have, this needs to go for about 40 minutes or so. And I've got a lid on it. We turn the temp down a little bit and we just let it go nice and easy. And we're going to keep cooking it in the back so I can use this for the dumplings. So you can go ahead and take that away. So I found the dumplings very interesting. I love polenta. I love dumplings. One of my favorite dishes as a kid, my mother used to make this, it's really just veal feet, cow feet that simmered a long time. And then at the end, she would put dumplings in there. So whether it's flour dumplings, polenta dumplings, semolina dumplings, I love them all. So the ingredients for the dumpling, we have self-rising flour. And I'm curious about the self-rising flour. We have the polenta, a little bit of oil, a little bit of water, and then some eggs, of course, that are beaten. So we're going to get everything in here. I think we have a little bit of salt as well. And I've already put the chicken stock on, and I'm bringing it up to boil so we can get the dumplings in there. So the flour, the polenta, a little bit of salt, a little bit of water, some of the vegetable oil, okay, and then a little bit more of the chicken stock. The one thing I did, I used a little bit more liquid to some of the dumplings. I found, I don't know if it was because I had it boiling too fast, but I found that they swelled up quite faster and they took up more liquid than I expected. So I started off with a little bit more liquid. So we have almost everything in there. We just need to get the eggs ready.
These dumplings are delicious even if you don't put them in a stew or anything. Just simmered and with a bit of oil on top or butter and salt and pepper, and they are delicious as they are. So
I think that's really true. And so many, if you think of pasta or potatoes, or just starches that you love so much that you love them in their natural state. Just a little bit of salt and pepper and a little fat, and you're just fine.
yes, always a little fat always helps, with the flavor and everything. Yes, we love fat in Romania. We traditionally, obviously, we cook with lard, and butter. So not olive oil or anything like that. So that's our main fat ingredient.
So I have everything in there, all the ingredients, the water, the oil, the salt, the polenta, the beaten egg. So I just broke them up a little bit. That's just so they, you break up the strands and it gets through the dough. So this I found interesting because I wasn't sure if sometimes this is a little bit looser or thicker, depending on how you make it, or if you could make it a little bit thinner. It seemed to work fine, and I think the idea is just to. So we've got everything all mixed up. You basically can just use a spoon and drop it right in the stock. Just to make things complicated, I thought I would shape them into a little canal, and I'll tell you the reason why I'm doing that. So when I saw the dish, I thought chicken and dumplings. It made me think of these quenelles that we serve at Café Campagne. We've served them for a long time, and of course quenelles. The word is a reference to that egg shape, but it's also, I think, from an old German word for noodle. And so quenelles traditionally in France are sometimes garnishes that you would put into a soup, like a meat quenelle, whether it's veal or chicken or pork. You make a puree and you blend it and loosen it with a little bit of egg or cream and shape them and put them in a broth. So we've been featuring some on the menu for a long time. So my little, I guess, reinterpretation of the dish, I thought would be a fun way to experience some of the flavors, and also a simple execution was to make chicken quenelles. So as opposed to chicken in garlic and tomato sauce, there were chicken with polenta dumplings. I made chicken dumplings. So our quenelles are made with the base is semolina, so there's a similarity. It's not the polenta, but certainly there's a similar coloring. But I also added a little bit of the polenta. So this dumpling is made by, we grind some chicken, we make a smooth paste out of it, and we fold it into what's basically a panada, which is like the same or patty choux that you would make cheese puffs and things like that out of, where you heat up a little cream, you add the flour, you work in some eggs, and you end up with the same thing. You can make cheese puffs with it. You could make, what do you call the little eclairs? It's the same kind of thing. So we set a base as a base for our dumplings, and we just fold in a little chicken and we poach it. So my take on that for the folks at home who tried it was basically to make our chicken dumplings, and then we made a sauce with a really vigorous amount of garlic. I thought the garlic in this preparation was just divine. I love garlic, raw, fresh, any other way. So just to move things along, we've got the dumplings. They're simmering away. You see how they're coming out. They're going to be beautiful and delicious. So we, of course, already have some made. Ooh. And so I don't know how well you can see the finished dish. But we have these delicious chicken thighs that have been poached in the tomato and garlic sauce, and then some of our larger size dumplings. So we can see that it's an absolutely delicious and hearty dish. And of course, to finish it the right way, let's say you're together and you're serving it. I'm sure you might, put the platter in the middle of the table, but can you take that? To top things off, we have a little fresh garlic. And then a little bit of parsley. So as best as you can see that, we've got our fantastic chicken thighs, these super delicious polenta dumplings in the garlic and tomato sauce braise. So thanks very much for introducing the dish to me. We've got a whole pot of it that I'll probably be eating by myself when we're all finished.
But please send me some as well.
And it's extraordinary. You see that the polenta and the tomato are made for each other. And you could completely enjoy that even without the chicken. And I love chicken thighs, my favorite part of the chicken.
Yes, very succulent, very, very nice. Yeah, I love your dish.
So this is, it's probably hard to see, but this is the, our little take on the, with the quenelles. So they're dumpling shaped. We make them the same way. I shape them with the spoon, they go in the broth, and then we just simmer them. So folks who got them at home, I think you got the instructions to just pop them in the oven, or you could warm them up, put them in a gratin, and fire in the oven for them to heat through. And again, they were finished as well with a little bit of garlic and a little bit of parsley. So I think what we end up having is certainly the spirit of the dish. And I was very pleased because we basically sold out for what we made. We were planning on having them again tomorrow. We'll have more tomorrow, but we practically sold out today. So certainly the idea of the flavor and the connection with the Carpathian book really touched something in people. So I hope folks are there enjoying it. And I welcome any questions that you might have. We're going to take a second to shift out so we can work on the squash. So maybe you have anything to say, and I'll be back in just about a minute.
If you have questions, or you can address them in the chat, you can unmute yourselves. I'm going to wait a little bit. I do have a lot of questions. I'm gonna...
It's a very elegant dish, very elegant take on ostropel. By a professional chef. That's really, really nice. So thank you very much for that.
This is Cleo. Hi, Otilia and everybody. Would we have access to the recipes? I came a little bit late, so maybe you already mentioned. Sorry for that.
The recipe for the actual Romanian ostropel is in the book.
I see.
Perhaps the recipe for the French take on ostropel will be made available. I'm not sure about that.
I did send a few links in the chat, but I'm not sure if you got them. Did you guys get my links in chat?
Yes, this is Regina. Okay. Yes, got the links, but I can't send anything via the chat at all.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay.
Yes, the chat feature says it's disabled on my end.
Oh, okay. So then we have to talk then. So I'll let you, because I guess I have to go back, and we just got this fancy version of Zoom yesterday. So
I've got a couple questions. This is Regina. So
hi, Regina.
Fabulous. I loved it. I was wondering about the shape of the dumplings and the type of polenta that's used. Is there something special about each, and does it enhance the flavor of the dish?
The type of polenta, yes, you can use both. There are two types, coarse polenta and fine polenta. You can use both and then judge the consistency of the dumplings. Obviously, in the recipe, I just had to create a mixture for the dumplings that wasn't too runny, because not everyone is kind of comfortable with working with that consistency. But if you feel that you need to put more liquid in the mix, just add some, because it won't harm them. They will be even larger and fluffier if you like. And in terms of what polenta does, first of all, it's specific to Romania. We eat polenta all the time with all sorts of dishes, as I said, from breakfast to desserts. So I wanted to put the polenta dumplings in this dish in particular, because I think it also works really well with tomatoes and with tomato sauce. And the combination of tomato, tangy tomatoes, very sweet as well in a way, with the spiciness of the garlic, and also the corn flavor of the dumplings, they just goes very, very well together. So I wanted the dish to be representative for Romanian cuisine. And it actually is, because it's not my invention. This ostropel is it's iconic for, Romanian cuisine. So I actually just cooked it the way my mom used to cook it. So this is all I did.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you for asking.
And I guess the chat works now. So go ahead. You can use the chat too. I figured out what was.
This is Roseanne Royer. Can you hear me?
Yes. Hello.
Okay. Hi, Irina. I just, you reminded me of something when you were talking about lard, cooking with lard. We had a guest in our family from Dalmatia a couple of decades ago, and he was wanting to cook a dish for us. And he said he needed some pig fat. And oh my gosh, we were just stumped, and we went down to the public market and just turned the place upside down, asking people where we could buy some pig fat, not realizing that he was just talking about lard, that was all he needed.
Yes.
But I'm just curious, so is that still the way in Romania today? Is it lard that's used for these?
Well, yes, I think if you want to cook a traditional dish in a traditional way, you will have to use lard, because this is what we used to have. But also, what we actually have, and I put it in the book, we have what we call cured lard, which is called lardo. And it's the fat, so you cure it in salt, and then you just slice it and eat it on toast or with onion, and that's it, as a starter. Well, it's part of the starters, as the charcuterie, if you like, with sausages and salamis and everything. So this is still very popular. I mean, a Romanian dish, if you are invited for dinner, it will start with something like this. So you will eat some cured lardo. But also we have some breads called pogacha, which probably it's also like in Serbian cuisine and Croatian cuisine. But in Romania, when we say pogache, they are little breads that are layered, a bit like puff pastry when you layer it with butter. Well, we layer it with lard. And we also put some a paste made of pork scratchings, and we put that paste in the bread, and they are salty and delicious, and you should put some caraway seeds on top. They go extremely well with beer.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much. That was very interesting.
My pleasure, yes.
Okay, I think we're ready to go with the stuffed zucchini.
Yeah, wow.
I love zucchini. I love this idea because, of course, at the end of the summer, yeah, there's zucchini and there's tomato everywhere, and it's such a peculiar sort of transition of the season, because you still have the tomatoes are still great. We have that sort of late season here, the zucchini still coming out of the ground, and then the pumpkins and stuff are creeping around the corner at me. It's you go to a party and you see all of your friends. Like, there are too many of them at the party and you want to talk to each of them, but there's not enough time. That's what I always feel about this season, when all of the fall things kind of start creeping along. So anyway, let's get started on the stuffed zucchini. I thought this was a very cool dish, and it was almost a kind of a high-low sort of experience where you have this rustic thing, but the stuffing's pretty elegant, and then the broth kind of brings it out to this very nice dish. So pretty straightforward. A little saute of onion and a little bit arborio rice, short grain rice that's typically used in risotto, and then a little bit of ground beef. We let that cool, and then we add some of the other ingredients, some smashed up, really smashed up garlic, a little sweet paprika, some minced, what do you call that? Minced mint, some chopped mint. And I think a little beaten egg. So I'm gonna turn this guy on, add a little bit of oil, then we just need to slice this onion. I think the recipe just called for a small onion, so I gave that a try. I mean, I love onion. You never have too much of it in anything. I'm not sure what I would do if I couldn't put onion, garlic, shallots, or any of those things in a dish. I feel like somebody had tied one of my arms behind my back. Okay, this guy is ready. It's good and hot. I'm just pulling it off the flame a little bit, because when the pan gets hot like that, then if you just pull it off the flame, we'll make sure we don't, burn our onions. So the rice goes in. When I saw this, I thought to myself, this is how we start, risotto in the kitchen. A lot of times in kitchens, I think it's a crime in Italy, but here we get away with it, where we'll cook the onion, the rice together, a little stock halfway, and cool it, and then we finish it to order. And so this just feels like the base of risotto that we're always making. You know, what I think is very interesting is that so many of these ingredients are so similar from Romania to Italy to France to Spain, but each place has such a very strong idea about what you're to do with the ingredient and what's the right way. And it's so connected. It's connected to history. It's connected to your grandma, your mother, or whoever made the dish. And it's, I think it's I don't know, it's what makes it fun and interesting. And you go to another place and you go, okay, they do this, you know, with the rice and the onion, but you like the way it's done in Romania, or, you know, wherever it is that you're from. And I think that's the fun thing about this little exchange, to see the very specific Romanian worldview on ingredients that we all share. So the cooking time for this is a little while. We're gonna go ahead and add our ground beef. I just ground it coarse. That was just a little chuck, it was pretty lean. Sure, any kind of ground beef will do. And then the idea is to get all of that cooked through. So of course, we have other ingredients to put in it, and we don't want to put them in hot. So I have a little bit of the base that's already made with the onion, the oil, the rice, and the ground beef. And then we're going to put the other ingredients in there. We've got the paprika. Then we need to chop up our mint. A little salt and pepper. And then a little bit more garlic. And I think the recipe called for it to be, you know, really smashed like almost a puree. So I do that by first chopping it a little bit, just so it's a little bit easier to handle. And then I just use the edge of my knife and just drag it across the cutting board. And if, for instance, you hadn't put any salt in yet, you could put the salt on there, because that helps as kind of an abrasive. Okay. Go. And then just a little bit of egg. We've got everything in there. We've got the ground beef, the rice, the onion, the paprika, the garlic puree, the mint. All mixed up. And then let's have a look at the zucchini, the dolbecci. So when I went to get the zucchini, I thought, let's get some really cute thin ones. And then I looked at my, you know, bear-sized paws that are into my wrist, and I thought, a bit of a torture. but they're beautiful. I love the way they hold their shape, and they're fantastic and they're fun. So we just, for this one, I trim the ends, I cut this in half. It certainly depends on what size you get, but I think the thinner ones are nice because they cook faster, because you want them to cook, but you don't want them to lose the color. So if they're massive, they're gonna kind of get, you know, soggy and fall apart. So luckily we have a little espresso spoon, and a little patience, come right out. Okay, so through the magic of Zoom, we have most of these already ready. And of course, the filling I save for other things to put in soup or whatever. Nothing goes to waste. Is that the finished one? Okay. All right. We're gonna dump some of the broth there. I will tell you that it's a peculiar experience. I just realized with everyone's mic being muted, because you know, you think you're sort of staying in a closet talking to yourself. It's very funny. So it's good to it's one of those peculiar Zoom experiences. You know, you wonder why people go crazy in like isolation in jail. It's because they don't have that human mirror to bounce off of, you know.
Look, I just changed the view so you can see all of us. Look how many. You're not alone.
No, you're not.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a.
Yeah. And
It's a funny.
I do have a question because, well, I was born in Romania. I came here 20 years ago, but I've never heard about this kind of soup. I mean, I know about zucchini soup, but not stuffed zucchini soup. So Irina, can you tell us a little bit, is it specific to the region you're from? You're from the south of Romania. Is that something common or?
Well, my grandfather was from Oltenia, so that's south. And usually everything that's vegetable and stuffed vegetable, and you know, we associate it with the south mainly. There are two types actually. There is a sort of a, it's not a stew, but it's you stuff the zucchinis, and this is the main course. You can make it with tomatoes and other vegetables and cook them on the stove, or you can make this chorba. So you just it's the same stuffed zucchini, but you add the stock to it, and also you can put through the stock, you can add sour cream, because very often in Romania, at the end of making the soup, the broth, you add some sour cream
into it as opposed to separately. Okay.
And yes, so it is specific. I mean, we used to make this at home when we had zucchinis, you know, like all the time, or the main course as well, because it was one of our favorite, and my grandfather loved it anyway. So that's why actually in the book I put Oltenia again, because Oltenia is quite a, you know, everybody knows about Transylvania when we talk about Romania, but not about the other regions. And I think Oltenia is beautiful. Some very nice wine is made there as well, because it's quite hilly, but also has a lot of, you know, plain like fields, and you can have proper gardens with, you know, vegetables and stuff. So it's a beautiful area, and it's also famous for the rugs that are handmade there.
So we've got you guys stuffed and ready to go, and I'm going to prepare the broth. So we've got the little bit of tomato paste that's going to go in there to richen up the beef stock.
I have a proposal for next time. Let's do it together. So tell us beforehand what ingredients we should buy, and then we all cook in our own kitchens. So that will be an experience for us and for you as well. And of course, still with mics muted.
That would be very
I
nice.
love that, yes.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. We're discussing doing something in December, so.
Yeah, precisely. And then for sure we will have more questions, because as you do things, you hit a wall and then you need an expert's advice. So here you are. You'll help us cook the best dishes of our life. Yeah. Thank you very much, both of you.
It's tough to see, but here we have the zucchini. We're just going to have to imagine they've been simmering. The broth is really beautiful. The beef broth and the combination of the tomato paste really gives it a lovely color, and then a little bit of hit of the vinegar. So if we were to, I think, serve that based on how we have it in the book, just with a little bit of zucchini in the bowl. And then I'm gonna wow, I wish you could actually be here to smell it. The flavor of the filling, the zucchini, the little bit of vinegar really lifts it up. It was, I guess I'm even happier than I expected with the dish for some pretty simple and humble ingredients, but the combination really, really rocks. Of course, a little bit of sour cream. And then it becomes pretty magical. Mm. Of course, my zucchini is rolling.
We're hungry now, right?
Oh, yes,
Same
I
thing.
am.
I'm drooling over here.
Yeah.
If you have questions, go ahead. We can stay.
Is that hot? Okay. For the folks who maybe have received the late summer Flourish box, our little take on it was a little different. We took the zucchini and cut it lengthwise, and then because in a kitchen you always, and whether it's a home kitchen or a professional kitchen, you have a lot of meat trimmings left over. So we had a little bit of pork and a little bit of liver that we usually put in our country pate, and we combine that with the little scrapings from the zucchini. Mixed all that together, put it back into the zucchini boat with a little bit of olive oil and a little bit of breadcrumb, and blast it in the oven. And so not sure if you can see that, but there we are. That was the Café Campagne version of the stuffed zucchini. And I'll tell you, the broth from this guy with the tomato paste and the vinegar, I think would go fantastic with this dish.
It sounds delicious, and it looks really, really good. And exactly like you said, if you add anything, any kind of minced meat you have, if you add a little pork, a little bit of pork or a little bit of lamb, if you put them together, they will work well together. They, the flavors will be, a little different but richer. So it's really nice that you added pork, because pork is also our meat of choice in Romanian cuisine. We eat pork very often. So I'm glad you did that, and thank you very much for choosing this dish.
Thank you for the cookbook, really, and I can't be any more genuine. I love the book. I'm really looking forward to spending some quiet time going through it and making some of the other dishes.
Thank you very much. And this is all about, Romanian cuisine is very homely. It's this kind of, dishes that you like to cook them for your family and share them with your family. So this is what I wanted to put in the book.
Daisley, what is another recipe that you kind of were interested to make from the book?
Geez, there was, I think there was, actually many of the breads, I think there was a bread that was coiled that had some stuffing in it that looked really interesting. There was also a layered cake. I can't remember if it was a cheese filling. Where is that? These little guys stuffed with cherries. I mean,
yeah, yes, absolutely. It's some sort of puff pastry. Yeah.
The photographs are so beautiful. You just want to. You kind of want to cook everything. This guy, the goat cheese and the spinach crab cake, I thought seemed really tasty and kind of a great pan season sort of thing. You know, it'd be great in the spring, in the winter, in the summer.
Yeah. Especially when you have fresh spinach, you see that's really good with spinach, and goat cheese and mozzarella cheese as well. So that is a very good dish.
And of course, this the piperici caught my eye because it made me think of piperad.
Absolutely, yes, it is similar.
Yeah,
yes.
You know, and you think about it, particularly one of the things that I really enjoy about working in a French restaurant, it's sort of a two-sided thing. One, it helps to have a focus, so it kind of keeps me on track. I'm not doing super random things. But the other aspect is that if you think about the borders, the other state borders around France, from Spain to Germany to Italy, Switzerland, wherever, all of those neighboring countries influence the cuisine just across the border, because the border is just a thing on the map and the people are all the same along there. And so that, you know, piperade is certainly something that's typical of the southwest of France, which is, you know, it's a bit more Spanish than it is French. And that's the cool thing, because it's like a trip through history, isn't it? When you think about those foods, how did they get here? Sometimes they started a place, went somewhere, came back, they change. So it's a little trip through history. It's a little travel around, you know, because people get displaced, people move, and they bring things with them, and then they go to a spot and they make the most out of it with whatever they have. But that essential thing of their home, you know, remains. So if I flip through the book, I would just keep saying that recipe, that recipe, that recipe. They're all really cool, and I do look forward to cooking more of them. Is there anyone online who ordered any of the items and have any questions about them? Any of the items that we?
Yes, they were delicious. It was really a treat today.
I'm so jealous.
They have to do something in December because we miss home. So yeah, you should cook for us. You know, Romanian.
We make sarmale together.
Right.
We make sarmale together.
Yeah, definitely.
And roll the leaves.
Yeah. And talking about sarmale, I have a question for both of you. Because I looked online to see when the rice came to Romania, and it looks like it arrived actually with the first rice plantation, which was late 17th century near Timișoara in Banat. Yeah. And then not everybody had access to rice, of course. While in Western Europe, rice came earlier because of the Arab influence. So how were these dishes that we call traditional and we use rice in them, like sarmale, because you mentioned sarmale, were cooked before rice because Turks invaded the Romanian provinces centuries before, starting 14th century actually?
Well, yes, starting 14th century, but also they established rice plantations where you said in Timișoara, you know, and
But that
along
was
the Danube.
4 centuries later. So for 400 years, they cooked something, but
it takes time. Yes, it takes time for a grain to actually be established in a cuisine. Actually, I think they used millet, which is a sort of, how is it called in Romanian? We use it sometimes, even now, when we make the sarmale with polenta. We stuff them with polenta. They probably also used pearl barley, because that is also an ancient grain, and also used, alongside wheat, and the way the crops were rotating and all sorts of things. But rice, I think it started later on, as you said, and also with the Italian, we had Italian communities in Banat, and they were actually looking after the rice fields. Yeah. So that's also fascinating to know how many cultures we had in Romania over the centuries. But then also in today's life, rice took over. It's a very good plant and with very good crop, and it's over industrialized and over, you know, planted and used. And I think very often, and you will see in the book as well, I make pilaf with pearl barley, because I think that is the way it used to be made. So it's a sort of a risotto, but, you know, with pearl barley. And I didn't make it with rice, even if in today's and, you know, 2-3 generations back, people say, well, we use rice. Well, we use rice for economic reasons, and because this is what it is available. During communist times, rice was something that was just bought, imported, and then sold on the market. So people didn't have a choice. And also a lot of local agriculture and regional agriculture was destroyed. So we lost a lot of, let's say, traditional grains and the way we used to cook with other things rather than just rice. So in a way, this is how we ended up with our national dish, you know, to be with rice, although national dish is sarmale, and it's a Turkish name. A sarma is everything in Turkish that is actually rolled. So, so here we go. But actually the same dish is, even if it's not made with sauerkraut, the same dish is famous in Poland, is famous in Ukraine, is famous in Sweden. So the whole influence traveled, and not necessarily through, you know, conquering land, but through trade. You know, people traded with one another and cultures interacted. And as you said, you know, things happen at the border, at the periphery of a culture. And bit by bit, it got into the mainstream cookery. So, so this is how we ended up with rice.
Thank you for your
pleasure.
Well, I want to say thank you, Chef Gordon, for showing us how to cook these Romanian dishes. I'm personally a big fan of your restaurant. Every time I'm around Pike Place Market, I come over there, and one of my memorable dishes that I had at your restaurant is the French onion soup, and I still compare any other French onion soup that I eat with the one that I had at your restaurant, which I think in my opinion is the best. I know it's a seasonal dish, so you don't always have it on your menu, but it's the best. And I always try to come over there and stop at your restaurant. And thank you for taking the time to get to know and explore Romanian cuisine through Irina's book. And thank you, Irina, for putting it together. I just bought it actually off of Amazon, so I'm looking forward to get it and explore it myself.
Oh, thank you so much. I hope you like it.
I'm sure from all the pictures, yes, it looks delicious, and it will make a great Christmas gift for my American friends.
Thank you. I may add that if you buy it through our website, $7 go to ARCS, to our nonprofit, and so please don't buy it on Amazon.
Yeah, send it back.
Yes.
Does your nonprofit support artists in Romania?
Yes, we do. If when we can, we bring them here at the Romanian Film Festival. We have events with authors, translators. So it's a cultural and educational nonprofit that promotes Romanian and Eastern European culture in the U.S. at large.
I see. Thank you. That's good to know. I'll buy it from your site.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think my publisher very, kindly offered to donate part from the sales to Otilia. So
yes.
Obviously we're doing this together.
Yes. So the book is on the publisher website. It's $35, and we get $7 for one book. So it's very nice. Yeah, it's something that adds up. If so, I hope Irina sells the book. And something that can add up, and it's a beautiful Christmas present. So, but I don't know if you have one last question, maybe for Daisley. We really went overboard with the time, but we will do an event in December in the same kind of formula with Daisley and Irina, and based on the book and winter traditions. We do have another event with Irina on October 17th. She will show us how to make pickles. Because I thought, everybody loves fermented food here in Seattle. I don't know if it's a national thing in America, but definitely I know a lot of friends who like fermented food, kombucha, and she's going to show us how to make borscht, which is the Romanian. I always tell my friends that is the Romanian kombucha that we pour into soups, and you can also drink. So Irina, I'm very curious to see you cook now, to see your demo now from your kitchen. So Daisley's offer is available through next weekend too, right, Daisley?
Yes, we will have it again. We'll have it tomorrow, and then we're open for takeaway and delivery Friday to Sunday. So it'll continue through next Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And the combination is the chicken quenelles in the garlic tomato sauce, and then the pork stuffed zucchini.
Oh, wonderful. I wish I could send you my son's picture of him eating your dumplings. It's so cute. He's having fun. He loves it. And he's very picky. So, yeah.
I love those dumplings. It's probably one of my it's really my favorite thing to cook. And I made all of those little individual dumplings myself, and I get no greater joy than standing there quenelling them over some poached chicken stock. It's my favorite thing to do. So it was a lot. This was a treat. It was great to explore the Romanian cuisine, and I'm excited to learn more about it. And then it got a chance for me to make my stuff that I love to do so much. So I appreciate the invitation and being included and being a part of your world.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And Daisley, I ordered for myself as well as for my father and sent to him. And we loved it. And we really miss your restaurant. And it made me realize, oh wait, you have seating outside and everything. And it's so easy to drive up to your restaurant too, and just pick up. So,
exactly, curbside delivery. We'll just drop it out there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, and stay tuned. So you have the website, you have a series of events, so stay tuned, and also consider to come see Romanian films in November through Northwest Film Forum. We'll have fabulous selection. Okay, thank you everyone.
Where is that?
At the online Northwest Film Forum, and through our website you'll
so it will be a remote
yes, it will be virtual. Yeah.
Oh great. Can you put the link to that in the chat?
Yes, sure.
Exciting. Thank you.
Yeah, it's the American Romanian Cultural Society. I'm just gonna click on the website. The full lineup will be announced mid-October. So right now you just have the website, but I'm sure you will hear about it if you follow Northwest Film Forum. I'm sure you'll hear about it. Just a second.
Well, we all have to spread the word about these programs. I think ARCS does amazing things, absolutely amazing. I'm co-president of the Ethnic Heritage Council, and we certainly are trying to help out with that too. But these programs are just superb. They're just really finely done, and I just am thrilled about the history. I love the history. Everything Irina taught us today. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much for joining us and listening to me talking about it.
Oh, wonderful.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. I would love to spend more time with you. I'm sure everybody is probably hungry and wants to eat food.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
Middle of the night for us. Irina.
Bye, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. Thanks.
See you soon.
Thank you.